Hollywood party. Get up, get out, get in it. Hollywood party. Hollywood
Hello.
cavalcade.
Welcome. We're just
Bring
playing
along
some
your
music like we always do,
girls.
waiting for
Go
folks
home
to
with
get
someone
in.
else's. Forget about your girl. Oh, she's sipping lemonade.
Hello.
We'll
There's
be
some
kicking
bouncy
our
music
heels
this
up
evening as
till
we're
the
gathering.
rooster's up crowing.
Oh,
Bring the
hi.
automobiles up. Everybody
Hi,
is
Mike. I'm
going
excited
to
you're
the
here.
Party. Going a mile a minute.
Well,
Hollywood
so
party.
I'm playing a little track. You know, I always play a track by musicians that I know and admire and love who are doing good shows online too. This track, though, is by Richard Halpern and Dean Mora, who, as many of you know, are my mentors. This happens to be the opening song that Richard sang all the time in his show, The Hollywood Cavalcade, which I guest starred in many times, and it was actually the first show that I performed in at the Cicada Club, which we hope will be back after the pandemic, fingers crossed. But in the meantime, you can see Richard every Saturday night on Facebook Live, Richard Halpern, doing his own show here on Facebook. So I'll go ahead and post information for everybody. It's a great show on Saturday nights to tune into. And he does fun music like this from the great Tin Pan Alley songbook. And I wanted to play this particular one because it's by the songwriters that I'm going to be highlighting tonight. And that is great Rodgers and Hart. So we'll talk about them a little bit more as we get in, but I thought it was an appropriate song, and I love Richard, so there we go. Richard, if you're watching. Anyway, well, let this finish, then I'll tell you all about our charity for this evening, and we'll get into the show, all right? All right.
Hosted by Richard Halpern, a Hollywood party, Hollywood cavalcade.
Hey! Oh, well, let's see. I'm having a little bit of a weird color change thing here on my screen. So if anybody else, I hope it's just happening on mine, but if it's happening on anybody else's, I apologize. We're just going to move on with the show because it's live, and that's what we do when we're live. Yes? Yes. Well, my charity this evening is one that I feel very strongly about wanting to support, and let me tell you why. So a few weeks ago, you may remember that there was a story in the news about a couple of kids who needed to get Wi-Fi so that they could go to school, because all the school is online. And so they ended up sitting outside of a local Taco Bell to use the Wi-Fi there. And fortunately, the employees of Taco Bell were able to come out, talk with the kids, connected them with the school district, and the school district was able to help that family out and get them what they needed, the resources, so that the kids could go to school and use Wi-Fi from home. That happened in my hometown. So it made me very, very sad when I saw that news. And so this evening, the charity that I want to highlight is one called Human IT. And it's actually based here in Los Angeles, down in Long Beach, in the LA area, but, provides support all over. And it's kind of three charities in one, because what it does is it provides low-cost internet and computer equipment to individuals and families in need of such things. And it also provides job training to people who needed jobs, which we know in the world that we're in right now, that is definitely something that people need. And what they do is they take this older technology that people are just getting rid of because they just want the latest and greatest thing, but it is perfectly fine, and they refurbish it. And so they keep it from going into the landfill, they give it to people who need it, and it gives jobs. So it's a win-win charity, and I really hope that you'll be able to dig in and support a little bit, however much you can. Every little bit helps with the work that they're doing, so that every kid in the United States can find a way to get that education that they need right now safely. And we can all come out of this pandemic all together. Well, let's see. So enough talking. I think we should go ahead and get into some songs here. And it has been 3 weeks, hasn't it? Yes, it has. Instead of 2 like we normally do. because of all of the heat wave that we had. I love you dearly, but I wasn't going to do a show in 116-degree temperatures. So it's nice to see you again, though. It seems we've stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I can't remember where or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you are smiling, you were smiling then, but I can't remember where or when. Some things that happen for the first time seem to be happening again. And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or when. Yes, who knows where or when. Well, I know where. Right here on Facebook Live. That's where we saw each other before, and it's where we're going to see each other for a while, I suspect. So that song, of course, was by Richard Rodgers and Rodgers Hart. So you know that I've done a few shows ago, I did a Rodgers and Hammerstein tribute show, and then during my last show, which was my birthday show, I went and I revisited some of those Rodgers and Hammerstein songs that I loved that I didn't do in that other show. And it got me thinking because, you know, Rodgers and Hammerstein was kind of a second musical marriage for both of them. Actually, in the case of Hammerstein, it was kind of a third. And as wonderful as those songs were, the songs that Richard Rodgers wrote with his first songwriting partner, Rodgers Hart, were pretty wonderful too. And if you don't know about Rodgers and Hart, well, you're going to know by the time I'm done with this show. And actually, I have so much to say about them, we very, very likely are going to go over. I'm just warning you now. I won't be offended if you have to leave. But I'm going to just stay here and sing until I've sung all the songs that I want to sing. So there. But Rodgers and Hart were kind of the top songwriters, other than like really the Gershwins, of the 1920s and 30s in musical theater and the movies. Strings and strings of hits. And I'm going to be singing a whole bunch of them tonight, so I'm not going to go into exactly what they were because you're going to hear them. And, you know, I think that they would have kept going and probably written even more wonderful songs, but Rodgers Hart actually died very tragically young. And then Richard Rodgers went on and started working with Oscar Hammerstein and gave us even more spectacular songs. So this is kind of, I guess you could say, part 2 of our Richard Rodgers tribute. And I think that that's a good thing. So, again, I've been talking for a while. Let's sing. I get too hungry for dinner at 8. I love the theater, never come late. I never bother with people. I hate none of you, obviously. That's why the lady is a tramp. I don't like crap games with barons and earls. Won't go to Harlem in ermines and pearls. Won't dish the dirt with the rest of the girls. That's why the lady is a tramp. I like the free French wind in my hair, life without care. I'm broke, it's oak, hate California, it's cold and it's damp. We wish that's why the lady's a tramp. I go to Coney, beach is divine. I go to ball games, the bleachers are fine. Read Walter Winchell, and I mean every line. That's why the lady is a tramp. I like a prize fight when it's not a fake. I like the rowing on Central Park Lake. I go to opera and stay wide awake. Excuse me. That's why the lady is a tramp. I like the green grass under my shoes. What can I lose? I'm flat, that's that. I'm all alone when I lower my lamp. That's why the lady, that's why the lady, that's why this lady is a tramp. Yes, they wrote that one. They did. Oh, and here's another one. Whoops, I'm going to just knock everything over here. Here is another one that they wrote. And, you know, Rodgers Hart wrote some of the most delightful lyrics, which we're going to be hearing this evening. I like these ones pretty well, too. If they asked me, I could write a book about the way you walk and whisper and look. I could write a preface on how we met, so the world would never forget. And the simple secret of the plot is just to tell them that I love you a lot. fun, darling little song. I do love singing it. I'm going to pause this for a minute because it is time for some water. Oh, this smoke is getting to me. Isn't everybody else feeling just completely smoked out here? Well, that was from Pal Joey. An interesting little tidbit about Pal Joey. The original Broadway production was the first big breakout role of one Mr. Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly. It's my Gene Kelly impression, except I can't do it because I have to stay on screen. But anyway, Gene Kelly. And the character that he played in it is kind of a cad, a no good guy. And it sort of set that character that he played throughout Hollywood. I'm just stalling here while I drink some more water. And sharing interesting facts about Rodgers and Hart Theater. That's a classy looking microphone. Thank you, Andy Hicks, for telling me that yes, I know, I have to bring my classy looking microphone a little bit close tonight because of all of the smoke, because I can't belt as loud as I normally can, but we'll get through it. We will get through it together. Anyway, where was I? Oh, Pal Joey. Pal Joey. So in Pal Joey, there is another song that a lot of people know from the Rodgers and Hart songbook, which of course I'm going to sing tonight. But it's an example of one of the things that Lorenz Hart did really well, which is love songs about relationships that, well, they're kind of complicated, I guess you could say. After one whole quart of brandy, like a daisy I awake, with no bromo seltzer handy, I don't even shake. Men are not a new sensation. I've done pretty well, I think, till this half-pint imitation put me on the complicated. That would be Lorenz Hart. Well, since we're on that subject, the sleepless nights, the daily fights, the quick toboggan when you reach the heights. I miss the kisses and I miss the bites. I wish I were in love again. The broken days, the endless waits, the conversation with the flying plates, the lovely loving and the hateful hates. I wish I were in love again. No more pain, no more strain. Now I'm sane, but I'd rather be gaga. The pulled out fur of cat and cur, the fine mismating of a him and her. I've learned my lesson, but I wish I were in love again. The furtive sigh, the blackened eye, the words I love you till the day I die, the self-deception that believes the lie. I wish I were in love again. When love congeals, it soon reveals the faint aroma of performing seals, the double crossing of a pair of heels. I wish I were in love again. No more care, no despair. I'm all there now, but I'd rather be punch-drunk. Believe me, sir, I much prefer a classic battle of a him and her. I don't like quiet, and I wish I were in love again. In love again. I wish I were in love again. I wish I were in love again. Well, maybe not right now in the middle of a pandemic. We'll see. Some people are figuring it out. Good for those people. Good for those people. Oh, well. And you know, if you're lucky, sometimes you can get something that's not a complicated kind of relationship, you know. And it just works. And it's just sweet. Like this song. If it starts. You're my funny Valentine, sweet comic Valentine. Make me smile with my heart. Your looks are laughable, unphotographable, yet you're my favorite work of art. Is your figure less than Greek? Is your mouth a little weak when Is your mouth a little weak when you open it to speak? Are you smart? But don't change a hair for me. Love, if you care for me, stay, little Valentine, stay. Each day is Valentine's Day. Each day is Valentine's Day. Oh, I love that song, don't you? Oh, I think that if you don't love that song, there's something wrong with you. And thank you, Andy and Emma. I see your note. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. What am I doing? Oh, I know what I'm doing next. See, it like melted my brain. It was so wonderful, that song. So to revisit themes, because that's what I like to do. Hold on. I'm not ready for you yet. You wait your turn. Anyway, a few shows ago we did a travel-themed show where it was our little whirlwind world tour. And if you missed that show, by the way, this is where I'm going to give a plug because I've now put everything on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. So if you just go in and search for Mary Stanford, I will come up. And Andy says, that's a good joke, Andy. I'm going to share it with everybody. He says, the songs were written to be sung in smoky bars now that the entire state of California is a smoky bar. That is true, Andy. We are all in a smoky bar. So I'm going to have another drink. Cheers, darling. Anyway, so my travel themed show, as I was saying, there's obviously, we all want to go traveling. And right now, I was supposed to be on a boat in France drinking wine. I am not on a boat in France drinking wine. I am here drinking sensible water and singing lovely songs for all of you people. And I think that that is wonderful too. Because, we're going to sit here and we're going to figure it out. We're going to make the most of where we are, right? And so this is a lovely song all about making the most of where you are. Summer journeys to Niagara and to other places aggravate all our cares. We'll save our fares. I've a cozy little flat in what is known as Old Manhattan. We'll settle down right here in town. Manhattan, the Bronx and Staten Island too. It's lovely going through the zoo. It's very fancy in old Delancey Street, The subway charms us so, where balmy breezes blow to and fro. And tell me what street compares with Mott Street in July. Sweet push carts, gentle gently gliding by. The great big city's a wondrous toy, just made for a girl and boy. We'll turn Manhattan into an Isle of Joy. We'll go to Yonkers, where true love conquers in the wilds, and starve together, dear, in childs. We'll go to Coney and eat bologna on a roll. In Central Park we'll stroll, where our first kiss we stole, soul to soul. Our future babies will take to A.B.'s Irish Rose. I pray they'll live to see it close. They did. The city's glamour can never spoil the dreams of a boy and girl. We'll turn Manhattan into an Isle of Joy. We'll turn Manhattan into an Isle of Joy. Yay! Oh, Dad, Mom and Dad are just reminding me they were supposed to be in Manhattan. Well, there you go. So you can pretend that you're in Manhattan through that song, and we can all make the best of wherever we are right now. Okay. Oh, okay, this is fun. Okay, so Rodgers and Hart Broadway musicals, pardon me while I do a little costume change. So Rodgers and Hart Broadway musicals often were a little bit odd. The plots could be a little bit strange. And the plot of this next one that I'm going to tell you about is actually one of my favorite shows, believe it or not. But it is a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court. And it was originally done in the 1920s and then brought back in the 1940s, dusted off a little bit, and given a new paint job. But the basic plot is the same. It's based on a Mark Twain story where a modern Manhattanite in the 1920s gets conked on the head by his fiancée with a bottle of champagne and wakes up in the medieval times in the court of King Arthur. Like you do. And of course, this being a fantasy piece, it comes with an evil queen. Queen Morgan Le Fay, the king's sister. And she quite likes our Manhattanite hero and decides that she is going to make him her next consort. But, you see, there's just one problem, which she explains. Kneel, peasants. I have to get very queenly and regal here. I've been married, and often I've sighed. I'm never the bridesmaid, I'm always the bride. I have never divorced them, I hadn't the heart. For remember these sweet words, till death do us part. I've married many men, a ton of them, and yet I wasn't true to none of them, because I bumped off every one of them to keep my love alive. Sir Paul was frail, he looked a wreck to me. At night he was a horse's neck to me. So I performed an appendectomy to keep my love alive. Sir Thomas had insomnia. He couldn't sleep at night. I bought a little arsenic. He's sleeping now, all right. Sir Philip played the harp. I cussed the thing. I crowned him with his harp just to bust the thing. And now he plays where harps are just the thing to keep my love alive, to keep my love alive. Sir Charles came from a sanatorium and yelled for drinks in my emporium. I mixed one drink, he's in memoriam, to keep my love alive. I thought Sir George had possibilities, but his flirtations made me ill at ease. And when I'm ill at ease, I kill at ease to keep my love alive. Sir Francis was a singing bird, a nightingale, that's why I tossed him off my balcony just to see if he could fly. Sir Athelstane indulged in fratricide. He killed his dad, and that was patricide. One night I stabbed him by my matricide to keep my love alive. Get a dictionary to keep my love alive. Sir Ethelbert would use profanity. His language drove me near insanity. So once again I served humanity to keep my love alive. Sir Frank brought ladies to my palaces. I poured a Mickey in their chalices. While paralyzed they got paralysis to keep my love alive. Sir Alfred worshipped falconry. He used to hunt at will. I sent him on a hunting trip. They're hunting for him still. Sir Peter had an incongruity, collecting girls with promiscuity. Now I'm collecting his annuity to keep my love alive, to keep my love alive. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Ah, yes. So that is one of Lorenz Hart's Liszt's songs. If you've read Stephen Sondheim's books, Finishing the Hat, right there, which actually is a lovely, good read if anybody is into musical theater and they're a big nerd. And he has a whole essay about Lorenz Hart and his Liszt songs that actually go on a little bit too long. So believe it or not, there was a whole other verse of those nights that she killed off that I did not sing about. So aren't we lucky? But I love that song. Ah, my goodness. I've lost track of where I am. Other odd shows. So in addition to basing musical comedies on Mark Twain's stories and set in King Arthur's court, Rodgers and Hart also did a musical called The Boys from Syracuse, which was based on William Shakespeare's Comedy of Errors. So I know we've all lost our Shakespeare in the Park this year. So a little reminder is the Comedy of Errors is a piece about two sets of identical twins who were both separated at birth, and it's set in ancient Greece. And then the two sets of identical twins both come together to the same town, and wackiness ensues. And it's actually a really wonderful musical. And so if you ever have the chance to see it, you should. It's delightful. And in the midst of all of this wackiness and farce and people getting confused about who's who, one of the unsuspecting twins' unsuspecting wives actually has one of the most glorious songs written for soprano in musical theater history, I think. So I'm going to do it because I can. And she's sewing with her ladies, by the way. You need to understand that for the first part. I weave with brightly colored strings to keep my mind off other things. So ladies, let your fingers dance. And keep your hands out of romance. Lovely witches, let the stitches keep your fingers under control. Cut the thread, but leave the whole heart whole. Merry maids can sew and sleep, wives can only sew and weep. Falling in love with love is falling for make-believe. Falling in love with love is playing the fool. Caring too much is such a juvenile fancy. Learning to trust is just for children in school. I fell in love with love one night when the moon was full. I was unwise with eyes unable to see. I fell in love with love everlasting. But love fell out with me. I fell in love with love one night when the moon was full. I was unwise with eyes unable to see. I fell in love with love everlasting. But love fell out with speaking of sopranos, thank you all. Thank you. I love that song. I've been singing that song since before I probably should have vocally been singing it, but I love it so much. It's like an old friend now. Oh, no, not speaking of sopranos. I was going to skip. There's another song from that show that I love. Speaking of all the wackiness. This can't be love because I feel so well. No sobs, no sorrows, no sighs. This can't be love. I get no dizzy spell. My head is not in the skies. My heart does not stand still. Just hear it beat. This is too sweet to be love. This can't be love because I feel so well, but still I love to look in your eyes. I love to look in your eyes. Rodgers and Hart from the boys from Syracuse. Now, as I was saying, speaking of sopranos, I'm going to skip that one. Speaking of sopranos, stop it, behave yourself, phone. Rodgers and Hart wrote the music for a film that I highly recommend everybody watches. It's a weird little pre-code movie called Love Me Tonight. And it stars Jeanette MacDonald and Maurice Chevalier together, which seems like a very bizarre combination, but it works. It really, really works because he's so charming and bouncy and wonderful, and she's so, Jeanette MacDonald. And this is a song that's in it and introduced it, and I think that the world is a lovelier place for it. Now you can play it. Isn't it romantic? Music in the night, a dream that can be heard. Isn't it romantic? Moving shadows right, the oldest magic word. I hear the breezes playing in the trees above, while all the world is saying you were meant for love. Isn't it romantic? Merely to be young on such a night as this. Isn't it romantic? Every note that's sung is like a lover's kiss. Sweet symbols in the moonlight. Do you mean that I will fall in love perchance? Isn't it romance? Isn't it romantic? Merely to be young on such a night as this. Isn't lovely song written for Miss Jeanette MacDonald. So, of course, I have to sing it. I'm going to grab some water, and we're going to go on to our other song, which is another one that everybody knows that they wrote. Actually, everybody knows, and they wrote it. But not everybody knows that they wrote it. I didn't know for the longest time that they wrote this. You'll see what I mean.
Blue moon, you saw me standing alone without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Blue moon, you knew just what I was there for. You heard me saying a prayer for someone I really could care for. And then there suddenly appeared before me the only one my arms could ever hold. Somebody whispered, please adore me. And when I looked, the moon had turned to gold. Blue moon, now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. And then there suddenly appeared before me the only one my arms could ever hold. Somebody whispered, please adore me. And when I looked, the moon had turned to gold. Blue moon, now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Blue moon, blue moon,
So there you go. You learn something new every day. Maybe you knew. I didn't know forever. I didn't know. Anyway, but though that wasn't the original lyrics to that song, that tune. It kicked around with a bunch of different sets of lyrics over the years before they finally settled on those, and thank goodness they did. But my favorite of the original lyrics are, one of them goes, "Oh Lord, I must see Garbo in person, with Gable on set rehearsing, and some director is cursing." I know, I love that. I don't know why they bothered changing it. I mean, I think it was perfect the way that it was. Anyway. Let's see if my voice can do this next one. A little more water while I can. I know, I just built it up. It's not going to start. Okay. Start. Johnny could only sing one note, and the note he sang was this. Poor Johnny, one note sang out with gusto and just overlorded the place. Poor Johnny, one note yelled willy-nilly until he was blue in the face. For holding one note was his ace. Couldn't hear the brass, couldn't hear the drums. He was in a class
by himself, by gum. Poor Johnny, one note got in Aida, indeed, great chance to be brave. He took his one note, howled like the north wind, brought forth wind that made critics rave, while Verdi turned round in his grave. Couldn't hear the flute or the big trombone, everyone was mute. Johnny stood alone. Cats and dogs stopped yapping, lions in the zoo all were jealous of Johnny's big trill. Thunderclap stopped clapping, traffic ceased its roar, and they tell us Niagara stood still. He stopped the train whistles, boat whistles, steam whistles, cop whistles, all whistles bowed to his skill. Johnny, one note. Sing, Johnny, one note out loud. I don't know why I saved that for the end with all this smoky air, but I did it. I did it. Yay! Boy, you know, speaking of singing, we're here in less than perfect conditions, here in my lovely apartment, singing over my iPad to all of you out there. And you know, it's not the same. It's lovely though. I think it's actually been really special to have all of these shows with you throughout this pandemic, and we'll keep going with them. I know that sounds like I'm about to say it's the end, but no, it's not the end. We're going to keep going. Because I think, you know, sometimes just stripping everything away and getting to sort of the essence of things can be very nice and very lovely. That was an introduction to this song that didn't start. It can be very nice. There it is, and very lovely. My romance doesn't need to have a moon in the sky. My romance doesn't need a blue lagoon standing by. No month of May, no twinkling stars, no hideaway, no soft guitars. My romance doesn't need a castle rising in Spain, nor a dance to a constantly surprising refrain. Wide awake, I can make my most fantastic dreams come true. My romance doesn't need a thing but you.
That's right, friends. That's all we need is each other. Get each other through this time. And believe it or not, we have one more song left. I didn't go too far over. And I got another songs I wanted to sing. But thank you. Speaking of needing each other, and that's all we need. Thank you to everybody who donated to Human IT. If you joined late, or not late, if you joined because you had other things to do, Human IT is a really wonderful charity that I hope everybody will support, either through this donating here or just donating on your own. And until then, everybody, thank you for joining me. And remember, I think you're wonderful. I think you are wonderful, and Rodgers and Hart are wonderful. And, the world may not be so wonderful, but we've got each other, and we'll get through this together.
Thou swell, thou witty, thou sweet, thou grand, wouldst kiss me pretty, wouldst hold my hand. Both thine eyes are cute to what they do to me. Hear me holler at you's a sweet lollapalooza in thee. I'd feel so rich in a hut for two rooms and a kitchen, I'm sure would do. Give me just a plot of not a lot of land. And thou swell, thou witty, thou grand. Thou swell, thou witty, thou sweet, thou grand. Wouldst kiss me pretty, wouldst hold my hand. Both eyes are cute to what they do to me. Hear me holler at you's a sweet lollapalooza in thee. I'd feel so rich in a hut for two rooms and a kitchen, I'm sure would do. Give me just a plot of not a lot of land. And thou swell, thou pretty, thou sweet, thou witty, thou swell, thou sweet, thou pretty, thou neat, thou grand. Thou grand. Thank you everybody once again for joining me this evening. And thank you to everybody who donated. I will see you back here on Facebook Live for another show. I don't know the theme, but we'll figure it out in 2 weeks' time. Until then, bye for now.